Are your employees an asset or a liability? How you answer that question will determine whether or not you fail as a restaurateur or you crush it. So what was your answer? Are your employees an asset or a liability? If you answered liability, you're partially correct. If you look at a P&L, obviously our labor is considered a liability on the P&L. However, that's really the old thinking. The old model is pay your people as little as you can, staff as tight as possible, and that's how you're going to make money. And that's a false belief that has caused the majority of restaurants to fail. The new norm is completely different, and it focuses more on the employee being an asset. So think about this: your assets are on your balance sheet, right? So think about your employees being on the balance sheet as an asset rather than a liability. So how can we think of our employees as an asset when they cost us money? The best way to do that really is to understand that they are part of the revenue producing machine. Your servers are salespeople. They will either sell a lot of the food and beverage, they will either sell high sales dollars, low food cost items, or they won't. And so they take up a big part of your success in being able to drive sales. Second thing is, let's talk about your back of the house, your line cooks. They are producing the product that's for sale. So if they're not producing those things, then you're not producing any sales, any revenue. And so it's important to think along those lines when you're thinking about whether or not your employee is an asset or a liability. So that's the first thing. The second thing is determining who's an asset and who's a liability, because whichever way you answered, you're half right. Some employees are a liability, some employees are an asset. Those servers that are constantly upselling and growing your sales are an asset. Those servers that are giving such great service and hospitality that guests are coming back are an asset. Those employees that are cleaning your restaurant and doing their side work are an asset. Those people that are fully available and are focused on the guest and the restaurant and the team are an asset. If your employees aren't doing those things, then they're not an asset, they're a liability, and they're bringing you down. They're not growing your sales, they're not team players, they're not following the systems, and so they're a liability. And so it's important to distinguish who your assets are, who your liabilities are. So after you've determined that, then it's important to begin to figure out how to compensate your assets, to challenge them to even do more for you, to develop them, to help them grow and mature. And then there's the other side of that is how do we replace the liabilities in the restaurant. And the goal is to fill your restaurant with assets. That's revenue producing people. That's people that help you cut your costs. And so it's super important that when you're looking at labor, that you're not thinking just how many bodies can I cut or how many hours can I shave, because those people are producing revenue. And so there's a fine line of running good labor, but also not stinting your growth because you cut it so tight. The other thing is the false belief that you have to underpay your people to make money is very false. You basically take a valued employee that's done a great job for you, that is productive, and you take away motivation and you take away their self-confidence and their loyalty to you by trying to hire the cheapest bidder. And when you do that, you always get subpar results. Do you really want your weakest servers taking care of most of your guests? Do you really want your weakest servers doing the selling? If you do that, you're going to spiral downwards and become the lowest common denominator, where your sales keep decreasing because you're cutting your sales force, you're cutting your assets. So the best thing to do is determine which of your guests, which of your staff are assets, which are liabilities, and then work diligently to keep and develop those assets and then replace those liabilities. So I hope that helped you determine who your assets are, who your liabilities are. If you want to watch more great videos on how to be the best restaurateur you can, please click the other videos here on the site. And also, if you have any questions or want to know more about how I can help you be the best restaurateur you can, please email me at #restaurateur.com.